And we're live. Hi, everyone. I'm here with Russell Wright, World Open War TO, and famous Welsh/English bolt action player. Hi, Russell.
Hi, Bob. How are you? You can go with British if you want.
British.
It's
yeah.
so confusing.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's your own fault for having an English team, a Welsh team.
I know.
It's all that old empire thing. It turns it all confusing. Right. Today we're going to talk about two of the teams attending the WTC.
Yes.
So, I think we should start with Denmark.
Right. Okay. Denmark. Okay. Now, obviously, I'm hoping you're not too upset and cut me off halfway through.
I might.
But he might. Yeah. Right. So we've got the 5 lists. Shall I put them on screen?
Yeah. Just share your screen here and then jump to Denmark 1. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let's go to Denmark 1. Right. I'm going to zoom in.
Russell has been nice enough, and he's actually typed in every single list into an Excel spreadsheet. There we go. Because the lists were all in different formats, so people were. It was a little confusing. And I had some lists that I couldn't even see. So
yeah, I've put them into the kind of World Open War format that I use. It's just easier to read, I think.
And you've even given us names.
Yeah. Should we start with your list, Bo?
Let's do that. Everyone knows it's mine anyway.
I think I don't think there's any secret there, right? So 16 dice is a good number. Mm-hmm. This is what I would call the quintessential meta Gurkha list, with one main difference actually, which I want to touch on. So you've got the 2 second lieutenants as tax. They don't do anything other than hide. Mm-hmm. You've got the FAO, who is free for everyone, who's British. You've then gone with 4 Gurkhas. Now, a lot of people are not doing that. They're going 3 Gurkhas, or even 2, and they're taking Canadian engineers. So you are all in on the Gurkhas. No flamethrowers for you. Medium mortars experienced. I've got opinions on that, actually. Mm-hmm. I've looked at the entire numbers for the tournament, and I can go over tournament numbers as well if you want at some point. And a land mattress. So like, let's go back up. I love the Gurkhas. I personally prefer paras, because the one thing that can hurt your Gurkhas is if someone turns up with a flamethrower.
It's flamethrowers, and I have been playing a lot against flamethrower lists, so I think I am skilled enough to know how to counter it. But it is the one weakness that the list has.
Yeah, and flamethrowers are very, very hit and miss. Normally they're hitting you on 50-50, and if they miss, they are dead next turn, because those Gurkhas are not going to just stand there and look at them. No. So there is that, absolutely. Medium mortar and land mattress. Now, these are very popular picks. Mm-hmm. We're going to see the British pretty much taking them in every list. Land mattress is an interesting one because it's allowed for the tournament. Fine. I've gone through all the lists, and all the lists, as I see, meet the requirements. So the TO, I might quibble with some of the decisions, but they have done a very good job of actually checking the lists. Yeah,
Dan Lane has been pretty good at that, and he has sent back a lot of lists, I know. So there's a whole list of people who've earned penalties paid in chocolate, by the way, to the EO's children. And it's a lot of us people. I mean, even we made a mistake as well. So there's a lot of things that the TO Dan Lane has had to check, and he's done a brilliant job of it. I think.
Yeah, I can't fault it. So and I know it's not an easy job as well. No. So medium mortar, land mattress there. Right, I say I love the Gurkhas. Officers are a given. The FAO is a given. My issue with these 2 units here is we have been shown 6 pictures of what the tables are meant to look like. Yeah. So I know those on the captain's chat. Yep. I might even share them maybe later if people want to see them. What I notice is they are very terrain heavy. There's lots of buildings. There's lots of blockage and line of sight. Yeah. And I personally think anyone bringing mortars or a weapon system with no spotter is going to struggle to actually put it in the right place. So that's my kind of. I would much rather pay 60 points. Yeah. Have a mortar I can't lose, because it's at that point it's basically invincible because it's going to hide. And the spotter in theory should give me better line of sight all around the place. So that would be my only quibble there.
The mortar is there mainly to give me that one more tool, because the alternative, I think, was to bring another motorcycle.
Another motorcycle.
Yeah. And the land mattress is just there to see if I can encourage the enemy to spread out a little bit or stay away from houses. So
there'd be plenty of houses to target. So yeah. There's a couple of tables that will do very well with a land mattress, and there's about 4 where it will struggle a bit, I think.
Yeah.
But it's useful. Motorcycles, I love what you've done there. The only quibble I'd have here, Bo, is you could have, if you wanted to, taken 3 motorcycles, and then for the same cost, instead of another motorcycle in the other platoon, you could have got yourself an airborne recce jeep, which gives you
45 points.
No, it's 35. The vet is 45.
Oh yeah,
with a twin MMG.
True. Yeah.
You can get a regular one with single MMG for 35. Look, it's only 1 extra shot. Maybe you don't have the model. It's not a biggie.
I do have the model, but yeah.
Well, there you go. Maybe next time. I don't know. Maybe you like the motorcycle because it's smaller.
I do. I really do like the motorcycles. But you're right. I could actually have done that.
But one shot. It's it's not likely to matter. And then we've got the classic double Stuart. I don't really need to say anything on that. And then you've brought a target for everyone, which is very kind of you.
Yeah.
In a horse limber, because again, in theory, the horse limber is used with the land mattress. We both know it won't be.
No.
Because it's slow, so you may as well just push the land mattress on.
The horse limber is mainly there if I want to block a road, or if I want to have some soft cover for something. Otherwise, it's going to hide.
No, that makes perfect sense. So I've been rating the list. So I would rate this list a 5.
Yeah. That's
it's got up and Adam. It's got all the key elements, and you can actually put the British lists all next to each other, and they're all pretty much variations on this, because we know it's a good list. You have gone for
the only thing that I think is different in mine here is you're absolutely right. Almost every single other Gurkha list has at least 1 Canadian engineer.
Absolutely.
And many of them are bringing 7-man para Gurkhas, whereas I am sticking with my 8-man Gurkhas.
8-man. See, I would prefer 7-man para Gurkhas with SMGs, but they're all subtle variations on the same idea.
They are.
And the M3 Stuarts, they're a classic. They will win or lose a lot of the games for you, but you know that because of the way you play with them. It's a very, very strong list. I don't really have much more to say on it, given that we're going to see it a lot. The other ones, I think, were a little more interesting. So you can see straight away, I go over to the USA, the Weasel list. I don't like this one very much. I'm going to explain why. Right, you've got the 2 second lieutenants. That's attacks, fine. Right, 4 infantry sections. That's only 29 men. And 24 of them are regular. That is quite fragile if you're not careful with it. The other thing is, why are you not picking Marines and getting 3 BARs? You can take regular Marines from any of the books, and you could have paid an extra 5 points per unit and got 3 BARs instead of 2. So that for me is maybe it's a model issue.
No, it's not. It's an argument, I think, about how much do you want to invest in gear, and that those extra shots at range, because as soon as you buy the ranged shots, you've bought that ability. Giving yourself like 5 points extra to have extra shots at that range, is it really worth it? Maybe not. Contra having extra bodies, that's the trade-off.
For me, those BIRs are fantastic, because if I drop 1, 2 men, I can have a 3 in each unit. They've got a range of 30, and a lot of bold action for me is trying to make sure you can hit your opponent when they can't hit you, and particularly with a move and fire rule on the Americans, getting yourself within 30 inches of an opponent on a turn, so that they have to move if they want to fire at you the next turn, because LMGs are not a thing at this level. For me, that's a big advantage that's been slightly it's not being maximised. Let's put it that way for this unit. The other option, of course, if they're regular US Marines, you could have gone stubborn. But look, I'm not going to get into what you could have done too much more, because otherwise we'd be here all day. I like the sniper. Snipers are surprisingly unpopular at this tournament.
I think it's because people saw the tables and were like, we're not going to be able to see a thing.
But why are they all taking in X-mortars then? Because I agree with you.
That's a weird combination, isn't it?
It's like, inexperienced medium waters is a thing. There are almost no spotters. You guys again have no spotters really. You got no flamethrowers as well. So you're not a fan of flamethrowers. There's one here, obviously. I think that's it for the lanes. MLRS is in there. Yep, jolly good. We've got Stuart again. Yep, jolly good, Stuart. They've given it recce. I know on your previous call without, you're not a fan of recce. I do kind of get what you mean. One of my favourite things is making Stuart's recce by firing at them randomly. And that's what I want them to do, to recce. I don't really expect to hit them.
Because then they're just wasting the turn. So
absolutely, I want you moving it, not firing it.
I do agree that recce is it does mean that it's more survivable and all of that. But it does encourage you to waste turns.
Absolutely. And then you've got this Sherman 105. Now this is normally 175. Now it's 185. So I'm assuming he's paid to get rid of weak sides. Okay, so it's a normal Sherman now. That's a good call. This is the only Sherman in the entire tournament.
It is.
With that said, I don't think it's a bad choice because it will cause problems for Stuarts. Which is why it's there. Armour 9 on the front, medium howitzer. That will cause you problems. Right, you can see I've put some comments at the bottom here. So should use Marines, Horse Limber. For me, I know you want the dice. But I think you can do things with the points. You've got 14 dice, that's fine. I know that's probably a bit low for your meta. I'd be happy with that.
It's just the lowest we would want to go typically for this type of list or this type of tournament. So if we take off the horse-drawn limber, something else needs to go in. But you could argue that the engineers, they perhaps could have been veterans, so we could have cut a few points there and found the points for something else.
Definitely, because that was one of my other things. The engineers. I know I said regular is soft, but actually the way you use your engineers, they're going to go into that beautiful weasel. It's the only weasel in the tournament. What I do like about this list is doing things that are different, and that may surprise opponents. The weasel, 65 points for Armour 7 open top transport. Okay, it doesn't have a gun. I think guns on transports are overrated. Because you just turn them into bigger targets.
You do.
So I'm happy with that. That will flank in, try and burn something. You got 3 infantry moving up. Do you call them push units?
Yeah. 8-man size. I would term that a push unit. Something that pushes into the center of the table, perhaps can push it onto an objective. Push.
I'm going to maybe make the biggest. I hope I don't upset the player of the list here. But if somebody turned up with that list at a friendly tournament, I don't think people would be too upset.
No,
and
they wouldn't.
Probably because a criticism in this environment.
Potentially. But there, for me, there are a few good points to this list. It's got 4 shots of HE sitting at the back. And at the same time, it has 6 BAR, so it's got the direct shots at range as well, with the Stuart as well. So it's a standoffish list for me.
You can see the concept
depending on what tables we get.
Sniper as well. Sniper's a standoff unit as well. That will do, as you say, it will do very well on a couple of tables. It will struggle on some others. The issue, I just really wish we found a way to get spotters for the mortars. It'd be so much more effective. But there you go. Look, it's not a bad list. I'm not saying that. It's a good list, but it's a classic bow 3.5 in terms of what you would call a 3.5.
It is a 3.5. I agree. Also a question of what players are comfortable playing sometimes.
There's a
lot of things to be said for people's play styles, which can be very different. And like we just saw on my list, the 5 list, and not everyone would be able to play that well. And some people would struggle with what you want to do at what points. So,
Bo, your sound's gone. Bo, your sound's gone. Okay, why Bo sorts that out?
Sorry.
There we go. Bo's back.
Yeah, no, it's my my headphones that are messing with me. I think I might just have to go and get a mic or something.
No problem. Should we pause for a moment, Bo?
No, it's fine. Could you start telling people about the Italian list, please?
I will. Okay, so while Bo's away, I can be really brutal and tell you what I actually think about the Bo Gurkha list. What I will say, actually, Bo made a comment. Let me go over to it. On the Gurkha list, it's not easy to play. No list is easy to play if you don't practice it. But I would say Gurkhas are probably the most forgiving unit in bolt action, in that you can do stupid things with them and they have a habit of still surviving. Stuarts you have to be careful with. They are very, very dangerous, but you do have to use them correctly because of the weak sides on them, which makes them really nice targets. Right, anyway, let's go and have a look at the Italians. Now, this list here is designed to kill Stuarts. So that's 15 dice, double platoon. Right, we've got 3 units of fanatic black shirts. So the M Battalion, that's the new version from Case Blue. So they get fanatics and tough fighter. One of them is a 9-man vet unit, the others are regs. I really like that. I like the concept of mixing your infantry because they have different jobs. So the vet unit is there to dig people out, to really, really be kind of the point, the tip of your spear. The other 2 battalions are there in support. They're still strong though. They're going to cause problems for people. And then this is really interesting. He's got a carabinieri. But the only reason to take this 5-man inexperienced unit for 45 points is it has traffic directions. Now, 4 of the 6 missions at the tournament, you can flank, which is an unusually high number. And the carabinieri removes the -1. So it's going to make it a lot easier and a lot more reliable for the Italians to flank in.
Right, can you just, I'm testing the mic, can you hear me?
I don't, yeah, I can hear you sounding good, Bo.
Good. Thank you.
So I was just explaining why the carabinieri are there to make it easier to flank. Because traffic directions means you do not get a -1 for the vehicles when they flank.
That is true, yeah.
And there are a lot of vehicles, as we're about to see in this list.
Oh, yeah.
So I've called it the Stuart killer list. So that for me,
it is. It's designed to kill Stuarts.
Which I love. I absolutely love this list. Another Inix medium mortar. Well, we know what I think of those. AT rifles, normally not a huge fan, but here, of course, they get to re-roll the pin. So if one of these does hit a Stuart in the side, and I presume they will try and flank in, then what you're going to do is you're going to roll a 3, go, oh, that's not good enough, I'll roll again.
Yeah.
And being able to roll the dice
twice, that's just high, very, very strong, isn't it?
It really improves your potential for penetrating armor. Yeah. The Sahalianas are going to do the same thing there. They're vets anyway. They come as vets. They've got a light autocannon, and you've taken 2 MMGs. So there's one on the front, one on the back. I probably would have gone with 1 MMG because I'm not certain how useful the back one is. But nevertheless, they can flank in as well, and they can shoot tanks on the side. And again, they are going to re-roll that penetration. AA trucks are doing exactly the same. It's just a little bit more vulnerable.
That's 4 light autocannons.
4 light
Stewards,
autocannons.
be aware.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Bo, was just on the medium artillery. So no spotters here again, but I understand that with artillery. It's a medium, so it's a +3. It means it won't get the reroll for anti-tank rolls. So clearly, although they're still useful against tanks,
they're mainly to deliver pins and that larger HE plate for against infantry. So it's a trade-off.
Absolutely.
You could have gone with autocannons again, or even light arty. But
so I've put Carabinieri need to be in reserve for their rule to work. That's one issue. They're not going to be on the table. And then annoyingly, their rule does not work for them. So because they only help vehicles. So when you then want to bring them in a normal game, you'll need a 7. If you're playing against Brandenburgers, you need a 6. There is a risk that unit gets lost whilst doing its job.
But maybe this player don't want to outflank every single game, so it's a question of does it make sense for this game against this opponent to do the outflank?
I think even if you put them in reserve, sometimes being able to bring that amount of firepower on after you've seen where the Stuarts are is really valuable. So that will work. The weakness, I guess, is there's no armor. So there is anything with a gun that can hit you. So even like a US list, if you can get, as I said, BARs, if BARs start pinging away at Saharianas, they are going to start blowing them up eventually. So you are going to have to use your cover really well. So the Saharianas have Recce as well. I should have mentioned that.
Yeah.
I think they're wonderful. They're wonderful looking models. They're great vehicles. They're actually quite big.
They are surprisingly big. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is an issue. Be aware. But the list, I've given it a 4. I like this list. I think
that's a 4 for me as well. Yeah.
If it's not your spoof, it could do well.
Yeah.
But it's a win or lose list. It will lose a couple of games. It will win. Win maybe 4 if it's run right. A good list. I like it. Right. Okay. This is strange. Now, this is one of the strangest Soviet lists I've ever seen. The reason I say that, I've called it recruiting issues. It looks a bit like kind of the Russians in Ukraine struggling to find troops at the moment, because it's only got 22 men. And I nearly fell out my seat when I saw that. And we're going to see why it's got that in a moment. But yeah, 5, 10, and 12 of those 22 are inexperienced blokes. Now, to be fair, the Polit Rook is there, and his job is basically to make that rifle squad usable, because it now doesn't get the -1 for shooting if he's behind it, which he will be. It's more valuable. So you've taken a unit you get anyway, spent 40 points, and made it useful. I quite like that. I think that's a good move. Sniper, good old sniper. We see a flamethrower team. This is the only flamethrower team the Danes are bringing.
But we are bringing 2 assault engineers here.
But
so
you do have engineers.
The third flamethrower.
Yeah, this is the flame list. Yeah, absolutely. I get it with FT teams. While they're not popular, they're very vulnerable.
They are, and they typically die once they've delivered whatever.
Exactly. So they're a bit like Japanese Gokusai units. You just throw them away. Heavy mortar. Fine, like that. Zet dog mines. The Unix version is 26 points. It's half the cost. I understand why they're vet. It makes them kind of sniper proof. You can get them forward. They're safer. They are still going to attract a lot of bullets, though.
They are.
So I'm not certain the investment's worth it. I could be proven wrong. If the player knows what he's doing with them, he will prove me completely wrong on that. Heavy howitzer, that's an unusual one to see. But if it does hit something, it's really going to hurt it.
Oh, yeah.
So, and this is unusual, a T28. So this is an enormous piece of kit. I suppose you can use it to hide
It's impossible to hide it. I mean, you need a big ruin to actually hide 50% of the tank.
100%. You can't really hide it. It's like a battleship. It really does look like that. It's MMG. It's got 4 MMGs on it though. I think one of them's a Pintle. So not only is it weak armor 7, it's also going to be open topped if you use all the guns. So that's interesting. That's the only one. When it is destroyed, I say when, it will provide a lot of cover. So you could potentially hide stuff like the heavy mortar behind it to angle it. I've seen people do stuff like that before. The Brens have got HMGs.
That was
unusual.
A mistake.
Is it?
Dan Lane instructed us not to bring that, which I think that he then went with the standard LMGs and then bought a third dog mine in something like that.
Okay, so that would drop the price to 70 here. So that's 30 points, and that means you could get an Inex dog mine. Add that now. So that wasn't updated on the website, which is unusual because that means we just found our first mistake. Okay, there you go. Right. This is a dangerous list. There's no doubt about that. With that said,
it does have obvious weaknesses.
It's really risky, particularly with the missions we've got. So I've only given it a 3. Apologies if I've upset someone on that.
I give it a 3.5 just because it is very, very killy, but it's a glass cannon. If this kills, if it works, then it's really dangerous. If it doesn't, it will quickly crumble.
Yeah, there's a lot of vulnerable units there. Only 1 piece of armor as well. Bren's, they're armored, but and we're going to see lots of other Russian lists that are built very differently. So this one, if it is coming, I think it will struggle. If it is coming, but again, if the player knows the list really well, maybe he's using it and winning all the time.
And just for the viewers here, remember, one of these lists is a spoof. One of them is a fake that we're just putting out here to confuse the enemy, because we only need 4 lists, and so
don't bring this one would be my advice. But okay, final check. Right, okay, I've called this regular everyday horses. Now I like the Polish Lancer concept, but it is very. This is what we're going to do. We're going to throw lots of lancers at you. We're going to have a couple of light tanks, and we're going to just try and pin you down, stop you ambushing, and kill you with the horses. So it's double platoon, 16 dice. So all your units have around 14 to 16 dice. So good discipline there. Right. Okay. Now I quite like the fact that they're 9-man units, because I know
that 18... bugs me no end. I really hate that. I think
you
I have a little bit of OCD.
Wow.
I would ideally want them to be the same size, all of them. But
no, I like different size units because they've got different jobs.
They do. Yeah.
I much prefer the 9-man to the 6-man. And my issue with cavalry, and I don't get me wrong, I've started using them recently. They are big targets. Once they've moved, it is very hard to hide them. And you're going to need 9-man units because you are not going to arrive with 9 men at your target. As soon as people see cavalry, they go into ambush or they run into houses. And because just to point out, cavalry cannot enter a house unless they dismount.
Yeah.
So, and there are a lot of buildings. There are a lot of buildings in this game. Yeah. So you've got the cavalry there. I think the 6-man units are very fragile, especially at regular. They will have to be used very carefully for mop-up operations. If they get into combat, they're horrible because they are going to do 12 hits because of the lances. Unless
and then tough fighter and
they're a good unit. There's no doubt about it. They're a good unit. I've played against cavalry Polish cavalry a few times recently, so I feel like I'm kind of used to playing them now. I know what I do. The marksman, I like the marksman. 40 point sniper. Okay, if you take a wound, it's dead. But I'd probably prefer that to a normal sniper.
Yeah.
Now this is interesting to us. The light artillery inexperienced. I am assuming their job is to hit buildings that people are hiding in, and therefore you've said 50-50, hitting on a 4 instead of a 3 because buildings don't get cover. So even if you're shooting at a building that is 75% covered by another building, it doesn't get cover. That's in the rule book. It's a rule a lot of people miss. It's got a minimum range of 24 inches if you're using it indirect. That's the only other issue with it. That is quite a large dead zone it can't fire into. But as we say, that's going to try and clear buildings. The marksman will keep inexperienced mortars honest, or actually it'll keep them dead. So that will make it hard to target the light RT that are doing that job. So
we are seeing, as you said, we are seeing a lot of inexperienced medium mortars. So yeah.
So so I like there's a lovely synergy there. All 3 of those units there are working together. And then you've got the TKS. Now you've paid for the upgrade to take the light auto cannon and get rid of the machine guns.
I would always do that every single time.
Okay, jolly good. I can see why. Particularly when we're going to have Stuarts, because you need something that can hurt them. The Vickers E-type, again, light anti-tank gun, not a light auto cannon, so it's slightly better. Well, I don't know, is it better?
I personally, I would want them to have the light auto cannon. I'm not playing this list, so the player who made the list does prefer the anti-tank gun.
I do understand the choice. It's more do or die. If you do hit, you're a lot more likely to get a result. So that makes sense. Vulnerable sides on these, not that it will really matter. I wouldn't thought. 2 limbers. Well, my views on limbers, I think I've made quite clear. I can't stand them. I don't think they're worth having. Right. So the only issue, inexperienced like RT on some missions, you can't put them in reserve. They're going to have to come on because otherwise they'll let you down. I like the synergy. You know what? I've just changed my mind. I think this is a 4.
I think so too.
Again, there are ways of beating it. Like I'd be quite happy to play against this if I'm honest, but I'm used to playing against them.
I think a lot of people are not that used to playing against cavalry lists. It's something that's just coming into the meta right now with Case Blue, and so it might still surprise a few people.
And this is the quintessential cavalry. Polish cavalry list, in that it's got the double TKS, the double Vickers, it's got the marksmen, it's got the cavalry lancers. All of the Polish lists are built this way, and then the decision is how many guys and are you veteran. But that's a 4. A 4. So overall, I think there's only one 5 list here, and I know it's your team. You probably disagree, but
No, I don't. I actually don't. I think I agree that there's only 1 5 lists in this bunch here. It's not. Yeah, it's not because as a captain, I don't want to push my players out of what they feel is their optimized version of the list.
To say that. Yeah. That's a good point that Bo's making there, but we might say kind of sitting back, just looking at it, we might say that this is a 4. But if the player's used to running it, they are much better off running a 3 or a 4 list than a so-called 5 list that they haven't used enough. So I agree with you.
And going back to when we last met in person at World Open War, a lot of the lists that were there were 3.5s and 4s, and people were still playing them even to go and be in the top bracket. So I think once you have a decent list, a list that cannot be optimized a little bit maybe, but not that much more, if it really fits your play style, if it really fits how you want to play, what you think you're good at, how you've trained, I think you do way better than having the most optimized list that you can build.
I quite agree. Quite agree. Matchups are important as well.
Oh yeah.
And these are completely random at this tournament, which I must admit I do not like. But that's their decision. It's removing an element of the captaincy that I think is totally unnecessary. But fine, that's what we're doing. We know we're doing that, and it does actually allow some lists to people which otherwise you couldn't bring. So there is that. And you mentioned like lists and players. I suppose that lets me segue really nicely into Spain.
Yeah.
Right, so if I go over to our Spanish brothers, and we're going to start with their Gurkha meta list.
Yep.
So this is the up and atom rule, same as yours. Everyone seems to like that. I personally prefer tough as old boots, but that's just me.
And I question with a lot of these lists whether Up and Atom is actually worth it, because most of the lists, including this one, has only 2 Gurkha units. 100%. So you're bringing your national special rule for 2 units.
With that said, on this list, they've done something slightly clever. Well, clever. The Guards infantry unit, which we can see. So sorry, let's
let's go through the list.
Tanks and the officers, and you've got the FAO. So that's all the same as every single British Army. 2 Gurkha vet units. So that is about as low as you can go on Gurkhas and still considered as a Gurkha list. It's got the Canadian engineers that you and me had discussed earlier. So they're in there. Now, this is a classic meta for me, that you see people are using meta because it's always Canadian engineers. And from what I can see, the only reason for doing that is you are allowed to take more than 1 Canadian engineer unit.
That's the reason you do it.
But,
so this has even been done because you could have brought regular Royal Engineers.
100%.
But since you're only ever bringing 1 of those, people have started using Canadian engineers, even though they don't need to.
I know, it's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So that for me just shows you that there is some list, what they call it, list catching. Yeah. So people going online, list netting, whatever it's called. Guards infantry. Now I like this. This is quite clever. It's a 90-point regular unit. Does it need to be 9 men? Probably not, but it does mean you need to kill 5 to get an order test.
There's a reason for this. Yeah, but
it's got discipline. So what this does is it ignores the special rule. So it doesn't have up and atom. It has discipline instead because it's a guards unit, which means it can re-roll its order tests. I quite like that because the players identified that they don't need up and atom for this guy. And therefore, rather than just bringing regular infantry, they're bringing in guards. So I think that's clever. Go on, Bo. You were about to say something on the 9, I think.
The 9-man. 1, it's the odd number, which means that you need to lose more before you lose. But if you had it at 7 men, 7-men regulars are never ever going to charge. But this unit wants to be able to do that against weaker targets. So not Gurkhas, not Polish Lancers, whatever, not tough fighter veterans. It does need to, it does want to be able to do charges against other targets. So I think the player, and I know exactly who made this list, the player is really clever in bringing a 9-man unit because it gives him options for how he wants to use this unit. You can use it as a big soak unit where you can take casualties. You can use it as a unit that delivers a lot of fire because you got the discipline reroll. Even if you're pinned, you're going to activate, or you could start charging weaker targets, killing them outright in combat. So I think it's a multi-purpose unit which I really like.
Yeah, I quite agree. If I could switch my up and Adam for discipline for the entire army, I would do that every single time.
Yeah.
Being able to re-roll an order test is fantastic. Just a comment. Home guard unit, on the face of it, you got home guard, inexperienced, 5 pistols. Why are you doing that? But he's got a big blob of 10 guys who are going to sit on an objective. Yeah. And they would just go down, and they're going to be really hard to move unless you get HE in on them. And if you do charge them, 5 of them are tough fighter, so you swing back at you quite nastily.
Yeah. He could potentially also outflank these guys.
And re-roll because they're a full strength unit. Yeah.
And then come in, and if you place your artillery right down in the corner, they won't need the rifles. Pistols will be fine. They can shoot in point blank range. But I think most games they are not going to be massively useful.
No, but they will just set an objective for you and protect it. And there are a couple of missions where that's absolutely fine. Yeah. And the cost, I've done the maths on this once. Having 10 inexperienced guys versus having 7 regular guys, actually 10 inexperienced guys are more survivable. Yeah. So I can see that. Got a Piat, that's really rare. Yeah. I think we're going to work out what you can do with that in a minute. Classic land mattress that all the Brits have got. A 25 pounder with no spotter. Again, this is quite nice. It's a pen +4.
Would you bring the spotter though?
For the sake of 10 points, I would be tempted, just in case I don't get targets. Also, if I have a spotter, my opponent's got snipers, and I can mess up their deployment a little bit. Yeah.
It would also mean that you could deploy it out of line of sight of the enemy's medium mortars and still be shooting because you would be safe from indirect fire.
I completely agree. What it lets you do, with the spotter, you can place it and shut down a zone. Yeah. So wherever that 25 pounder goes and is looking, your opponent will not want to run their Stuarts there. Yeah. So they won't. So basically, at that point, it's done its job, but it won't fire at anything all game. Yeah. Because nothing's going to walk in front of it.
But with a spotter, you can still take those shots. Yeah.
You still got a shot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Then there we go. Look, they go. Just if you did want to take them, there's your option. And if you could find extra 10 points, Bo, I think the twin MMG one is great.
The twin MMG, I've been running those for years and years and years. I've just recently shifted to the motorcycles, not because they're better, but because you can take more.
I completely get that. We've got the Stuarts. This is interesting. One of the Stuarts is 115 points. So to save points, they've lost one of their MMGs. Not certain I would have done that.
No, me neither.
So anyone who's playing against this list, make sure you know which one is which. Like mark them or something.
Because that will be really important. One of them is not a Darker Stuart, just a regular Stuart. Yeah.
It's still 13 shots. It's still scary.
It's still a lot of shots, but not that scary.
Not what it should be. Yeah. So I would say if you're playing them, make sure it's clear which one is which. Yeah. Same with the Recce Jeeps. I would hope the Spanish have got like the twin MMG, a single MMG, but I know not everyone models. I'm a bit of a rivet counter, I admit that.
Yeah. These needs to be really clearly modeled because at this point it really matters which is which.
100%. Yeah. And then just a mule again. That's a dice. Don't like that, but there you go. I understand why. And then the 15 CW&T. I like these because for 31 points you can with 8 men. Yeah. And I suspect what's going to happen with that, and it's quite a small truck. I imagine you are going to get the engineers in there with the Piat. Yeah. And so you can jump out. You can even put an officer in there if you want to take
I would, because then you could outflank or push your chance up. Yeah.
And so that clown car is going to come up, 8 blokes jump out of it, and they could really ruin your day if it's used. Correct. Yeah. Right, now I've got some comments for the Spanish overall, Bo, because I noticed some stuff that all the lists have. Yeah. Right, so where did I put it? Overall, here we go. Right, there are no spotters at all, except for the Japanese Spigot. Yep. That's interesting. There are 0 flamethrower teams. Yep. There are 0 snipers. All mortars are inexperienced, medium. Yep. There's only 1 transport, which we've just seen. Other than that, they do not take transport. They nearly all have a mule for a dice. Average dice count 17, 14 to 18. Every list has double tanks that are designed to kill infantry. Every list has at least 5 infantry. Yep. They are only bringing 1 MLRS, which was just seen.
which may be clever or maybe a huge mistake. We shall see.
We shall see. Every officer is on his own, so there's no pairs, and they've got long range and short range anti-tank options in all of the lists. So it is so uniform. I think they have sat down and said to their team, right, we need this. Don't bother with snipers. Don't bother with this. So it looks to me as if these lists have been built under team orders, more so than any other team.
I think whoever is captaining this year, I think it's Hanno, but whoever's, I think exactly what you said. They sat down the team. They talked through what they think they need, what they think they want, based on the tables they've seen, based on their experience, because these, of course, have won every single WTC that's ever been held, so they know their stuff. But I do think that they are under orders. I think that the captain here has decided what should be in the lists.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think overall they've made very good decisions. There's one or two you might quibble, but they've got a view in the units and have stuck to it. Right, so if we go and look at our second one, which is, I've called it Achilles Dirty 28.
Because everyone knows that's Achilles. I'm not sure he's playing it, but he definitely made this list.
I suspect it's not coming. I agree with you. But with that said, we know it's him. And this is one of those situations where I would rank this list a 3. I don't think it's very good. But if Achilles is running it, it may as well be a 5.
Yeah.
Because he just has this.
He's so used to playing strange German list that the rest of us thinks, this is average, whatever. And he plays them so well that it almost always works out for him. Didn't at World Open War, but can't win every single game, right?
No, that's right. That's right. It doesn't. I think he ran into a couple of Gurkha lists. Wow, that caused problems. Right. Just looking here. So second lieutenant, lieutenant. I suppose if you can't take VOF and SS officers at this tournament, I have no idea why not, but you can't. So fine. But you can take Kriegsmarine.
I think the argument was that the Kriegsmarine officer is just the same as a Waffen-SS. Except I don't think it is, but okay.
It's not. It's got 2 different rules. Also, the requirements around it. You need to take a Kriegsmarine squad with the officer, which they've done. You can see that in the list there. If it was maybe slightly larger. If you could take the Waffen SS officer, you could take the late war Waffen SS unit, which you can take in X, regular, or vet. It's a better unit. It's more flexible. Anyway, that's gone. So let's focus on the list. The Kriegsmarine officer, I'll just say quickly, he does synergize very nicely with the Flak 36 here. Now, the reason being, he's got a naval gunfire expert. Now, that means he doesn't get the Blitzkrieg, so he can't pick 2 order dice like a normal German officer would. But
then your regular lieutenant could do that if you really wanted to have a good snap to. Then you've got him.
Excuse me, But what he does, if you snap to action the gun, and I imagine he will sit next to that gun, you are allowed to re-roll the order test. So imagine you've had a prep or something, you've got a pin on the flak. The officer, using his snap, you can re-roll the order test. So he will sit with that and just make sure it passes his order tests. So that's good. I like that. And it's making use of a unit that's attacks. And that's great. If you can find a use for your officers, brilliant.
And we know that Achilles is amazingly good at placing his flag. He always knows exactly where the battle is going to happen, and he places his flag so that it helps him. Not necessarily that it's always like facing the enemy, but he will always lock down something so that at some point you will want to have moved where that flag is, and you just sit there and go, nah, I can't do that now.
Absolutely. It's almost as if he's got real military experience or something.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right, so the infantry, so 6 units, but they are really, really mixed, as you can see. So Brandenburgers, that is a classic Brandenburger list. You keep it to 5 because they're so expensive. You get £3 a thousand. Their job is to hunt tanks. Come on, SMGs. They're also fanatic. They are a pain in the butt to deal with. I love them. Absolutely love them. They're expensive, but you are getting that extra -1.
Yeah.
So what they will do is they will force your opponent to take an additional -1 when they try and flank, and given 4 of the 6 missions have flank, that could win games. That on its own could win you games where it stops stuff coming in. They do synergize really well with another unit, but we'll talk about that another time. Kriegsmarine, they're just going to sit somewhere and hide with a Panzerfaust. Fine. Now, this is where it gets weird. So the Strath Battalion, they are shirkers. Now, Achilles has always played these.
Yeah.
He plays them as regular, gives them shirker.
Yeah.
So they are 70 points for 10 instead of 100. But with the change in the shirker rule, where it said the pin counts double, counts for effectively everything, a lot of people thought, oh, shirkers will die. Now, who's going to take them? Well, Achilles takes them.
Yeah.
And I've played against him with these. He knows what he's doing with them.
He knows exactly what he's destroyed Gurkha units with these against me. He knows exactly how to do this. And he's really, really good at it. And they're 10 men again because he can upflank. And he'll always come in where you don't want him, and because he's predicted that beforehand, of course.
100%. He will not let you get pins on them until he wants to use them. No. That's what he does with them. It's just very good.
Yeah.
Right, then this is weird. I've never seen this before. So
the convicts.
He's taking 2. Let me get this right. Third Strafgefangenenabteilung. Apologies for my terrible German.
It sounded good to me.
Well, I don't know about that. But apparently that means convict squad.
Yeah.
And he's got a 15-man unit that is unarmed, 45 points. He's got a 13-man unit that is unarmed for 39 points.
Yeah.
Now, these units have a very specific rule. The guard force is basically the office, the police force in charge of them. Now, if at any point that unit is not within 24 inches of a convict squad, then if they fail an order test, they rout, which is a big weakness. So I think it would be a no-brainer to try and kill that guard force. If the guard force pops up to do something,
just push off.
But Achilles will probably just hide it behind a building.
Of course.
And then he's going to run big units of unarmed men at you that you can machine gun them down, but they're going to waste a lot of your time doing that while he does other stuff. So that's fascinating. I've never seen anyone run that.
They're meat shields. They're definitely meat shields.
100%. They're there to protect other stuff. You've got the medium mortar and experience, of course. That may well have one of those convict squads right in front of it.
Oh, yeah.
The Flak 36. Now, he's paid an extra 5 points, I think, and added a gun shield, which is a really good call if you can do that.
You should. I think you should.
Yeah. Quite agree. Then this is very popular recently. The
250
Hanamag 259. Yeah, it's and the reason is it got FAQ'd, so it's not open top anymore.
Yeah.
So as a result, you've got quite a nice armored car there. Yeah. Like autocannon, which we like. They are very much the meta these days. Autocannons and the MMG, and then his vehicle Panzer 3C. We like that. Three machine guns.
That's the Dakar Panzer. Yeah.
Dakar Panzer. Again, I'm a rivet counter, so when I see that on the table, I'm looking at it to see if it is actually.
Does it have the extra coaxial?
Exactly. I suspect the tournament organisers are not going to be too concerned about that because it is a little bit extreme. But I kind of probably think you should take the correct one. But there you go. Kugelblitz, vehicle that didn't really exist. Heavy autocannon though, so it's got a range of 72.
Yeah.
It can sit at the back, and it's just 4 shots from a heavy autocannon plus 3 pen. That is horrible if it gets hold of you. But
and against some armies, he could even push this. I mean, he could push into the center because some armies will not be able to deal with 9+.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. What I found them useful for as well, they're really good at killing snipers.
Oh yeah.
If a sniper takes a shot, and you want to get rid of the sniper, you put 4 shots from a HAC on it. You're probably at normal range.
Yeah.
Sniper's fired. Even if he's in hard cover, you'll be hitting on 6s, and you got 4 dice. So it's about 50-50 shot. They're good. Good job there.
And you'll have the 1-inch template, so you will hit both of them because you're shooting HE.
100%. Yeah. So so I've given it a 3 because there are obvious issues with it. But as I say, if it does turn up, beware. It might be a 3.
I think for me it's a 3.5, and that's simply because I'm in awe of Achilles actually getting 14 auto dice into something that's basically a Death Star list, where most of the stuff actually is a threatening, has a purpose. I mean, that is just really, really well thought out. It's not massively dangerous. I mean,
he's got the wrong Death Star.
Yeah, he's got.
I'll show you what he should have brought. This is what he should have brought.
What? Russell is getting something out of his closet now. What is he going?
Right, so headphones back on.
What are you doing,
That
mate?
is a Kugel Blitz. That's a lovely, lovely Kugel Blitz. So the camera gets that. You see, that's what he's bringing. He should have brought this because he could have, because it's legal. That there.
What is that?
That is a
It's a Colian.
That's a Colian. Now that costs you an extra 30 points.
Yeah.
But for 30 points, you get armor 10 on the front. And in the meta that we play, there is next to 0 vehicles that can hurt it. No. So you can literally, as you say, you can push it, you can park it where you want, you can do what you want with that unit. It is experimental, so you do have to roll order tests on it, but you just stick an officer behind it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, bit of fun there. Right. Okay. So, yep, 3. Okay.
That would have cost him an order dice, you know.
It would have cost him. Yeah, you're right. It would have cost him. Maybe look, if you can get the second lieutenant down. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, look, it's a fun idea. Right, Japan. Right, this is a Horde and Flame list. I've only given it a 3.5. I'll go through why. I play Japanese a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
So at the moment, in most tournaments, they are not usable. The Japanese have not won a tournament in a long time.
Yeah.
Reason being, they run into Gurkhas.
Yeah.
So
that's basically the reason, because since the fact with that flamethrowers, how that interacts with fanatics, a lot of people thought, well, Japanese are back, but they have not. No. They've just been cut down, I think, every single time by Gurkha lists.
Yeah, it's the Gurkha lists, it's the Stuarts, and it's their lack of AT causes some real problems. So let's have a quick look at this one. Let's see how they're dealing with that in this one. Okay, right. So 2 second lieutenants. That's horrible, isn't it? It's such a high tax for them.
Yeah, it is.
Why they're not allowed in X? If the Brits are allowed in X, the Japanese should get in X.
Yeah.
They were putting 19-year-old university students into officer uniforms in 45. So they should have it. Kempe Tai, if it comes off, nice. It's lovely. Yeah. You've then got right. Okay, so you've got 4 bamboo spear units. So this is a proper horde list.
Yeah.
It's 99 men in total. All models. Bamboo, 4 bamboo horde lists. That's great. If you're going to bring them, you've got to bring a lot of them. Otherwise, they're pointless. And then 2 militia units that can kind of fire. Yeah. I don't like this. Like, why? I understand you're saving 30 points there.
I think there should be 15 men in each of these units. Yeah, really, but I do like that he includes 2 militia units. I think that you possibly should even include a 3rd. I like the having rifles, being able to shoot 15 shots normally would be a lot of shots coming out of these, but
it guarantees pins. It guarantees pins.
Yeah.
That's what it does. It won't kill a unit, and then you can charge. So you put pins on, then the charge goes in, and when they get counter fire, it won't be so painful. So that's it there anyway. Medium mortars again in X, but again they've got a huge meat shield. For one of the better phrase. Oh, I hate that phrase. But there you go. 3 suicide anti-tank weapons. They are basically your only anti-tank in this list.
So you need to bring them. Should you bring 3 more? Because I read this list and felt like, why not?
I think 6 is too many because they are very vulnerable. Yeah. I personally think the magic number's 4. And the reason for that is we're playing on a 72-inch wide board. And 4
so you can basically cover everything with a suicider. Yeah.
And they just sit there. They're not actually meant to kill tanks.
No,
which sounds like a weird thing to say, but they're just meant to kill.
I agree. They're definitely not meant to kill. They're meant to threaten away tanks. But
I managed to kill a Stuart with one in a game I played yesterday against a Gurkha list with Japanese. We've been practicing different lists and testing them. They shouldn't do that.
No.
Your opponents, generally speaking, either in a really difficult situation or made an error if one of these things actually works.
Yeah. I have lost Dutch nationals. I lost a Stuart to a Japanese suicider because I had forgotten he was there.
that is normally how they get you. They hide behind a building.
That happens. Yeah.
Yeah. In friendly games, I will always remind my opponent it's there. In a tournament, it's different.
Yeah.
Right. Spigot mortar. This is a very unusual weapon. You've taken a spotter with it, which I think you really should. to maximise it, so that's good. This is the weapon. It's got a 4-inch template.
Yeah.
But it's only +1 penetration.
Gives you a lot of pins, though.
Doesn't matter, exactly. It's D6 plus 2 pins. So basically, you hit your opponent once. You're hitting again on a 2. Yeah. It is very unlikely you don't pin them out with your second hit.
Yeah.
So it's a lovely weapon. It really is good. Don't leave home without one if you're Japanese.
No, I would potentially even take 2. Actually, I would take one of these over a normal mortar any day.
There's a strong argument.
Yeah. Even over having a howitzer, definitely take the spigot.
I ran a list a little while ago, a couple of years ago, that had 2 spigots, 2 medium mortars, and I even threw in about 3 knee mortars into the infantry sections, and it was just throwing shells at your opponent all the time. Next one, right? Okay, so the Shiki. This is a engineer's tractor. Basically, it's just like a bulldozer, but it's got a flamethrower. In fact, it's got 3 of them. Front, left, right. You can only fire one at a time, but it doesn't matter. I don't like them personally.
Me neither.
Because they're armor 7. They're quite big. They've only got a range of 12. With that flamethrower,
you've got to be really clever to actually get that to connect, because you're going up against a lot of light autocannons, Stuarts with light ATs. So it's going to struggle unless the player is really clever and gets the right table.
I've also got a view on Japanese, which is if you're taking armor for your Japanese, you're playing them wrong. Because the armor's point, there's 220 points here, but for me, like, no offense to the player, they could be spent so much more effectively in other areas of the army. But that's me, you know. Overall,
I do like the inclusion, though, and we see this in several of the lists, of some sort of flamethrower, because it's one of the things that the Japanese lack. They lack something to deal with Stuarts, and a flamethrower will cut down even Paragurkas to a manageable size. So I like the inclusion of flamethrowers. I just don't think the SST is good.
In your Japanese list, your flamethrower is often your only anti-tank weapon, your only real anti-tank weapon. So I do get that. But for that price there, he could have taken 2 flamethrower teams and stuck them in Kudoganes. And I would suspect, I imagine that would be more effective. And you could make the Kudoganes veteran, and you'd still be saving a lot of points.
And you'd get extra order dice into your list, which would benefit your HE shots. I mean,
but look, you know, whoever's playing it has been playing this list. They know how they want to run it. We will see. We will see. But for me, that's only a 3.5.
So this might actually be the dud list in your eyes?
I think personally, it sounds like you know who's running the Brits. When I saw this Gurkha list, I thought this is either Achilles or Germany's Achilles. So I can't imagine not bringing.
I think this Gurkha list is Hano.
Okay.
Because I know Hano has been playing guards before, so I think he at least built the list. Whether he's bringing it, I don't know.
Okay. On the Japanese list, they have a fairly new team player. I can't remember the guy. It's a lovely guy. Is it Alex? Julio, I think it might be Julio. A really nice guy. He has been running Japanese all the time. He did very well in the last couple of tournaments. I suspect
so that might be him.
New player. Because it looks like the list he was running, which is very much he wants to get them in your face really early. We will see. Okay, right. So this is where. So I said the Soviet list. Denmark had recruitment issues. This is where they've all gone. So if we look at this, this is
the Spanish are paying better.
They have a completely different approach, which is look at the amount of bodies they're throwing at you. There's 54 infantry there. The tank hunters, now they are, in theory, you can argue they're an anti-tank slot. They're a specialist support weapon unit. But when you get them to 4 men and they're veteran with 4 SMGs,
not what they do.
It's an infantry section for me at that point.
It is.
Scout squads, so he's got loads of forward deploy here. Am I right in saying there's a rule you're only allowed to forward deploy 3 units?
No, I don't think so.
No, okay. Right, I thought there was a house rule for the tournament. I could be wrong. That being the case, he is going to forward deploy 4 vet units. 2 of them got Panzerfaust. They are just going to sit and they can go down. They're going to be very difficult to move, and they've all got SMGs. You are going to have to move them, or he's got board control. that's going to cause people a lot of problems.
It is. And at the same time, he can definitely do some, those outflankers coming in behind you while you're trying to work at his forward deployers. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, because as you say, the outflankers can be, so the Strafbat, and the rifle squad, they're full strength. So, okay, they need to roll a 7, but they get 2 shots at it, which is a huge improvement in your odds. That's why they've actually got more rifles than you'd normally see.
Yeah.
So he's put a lot of rifles in. They're going to come on and try and put a pin in, and then maybe charge the next turn and cause trouble.
I need to do, before we move on, I need to do one thing, because I think this is a list that Carlos has built. You know, he plays Soviets. It's his jam. Yeah. I think that he's been inspired, shall we say, by my player Michael Christensen, because Michael Christensen has been running forward deploying, like whole armies of forward deploying Soviets for quite a while right now.
Right. Okay.
And they actually met up at World Open War, and I know they discussed Soviets a little bit. So yeah.
No, it could be. Could well
potentially be. There's some inspiration going across here.
Right. And let's just message out to, is Michael playing at the WTC?
Yes, he is.
Message to Michael. Michael, if that Danish Soviet list was yours, listen to the Padawan or whatever you want to. This is the list. You should have taken
this. Is the list. Yeah.
Maybe he's fed up of forward deploying.
Maybe.
You've got the 2 inexperienced mortars. I think that's almost more forgivable when you've got 4 of these units, because guess what they're really good at killing as well? Snipers.
Yep.
So you
and
can be...
not only do they kill the snipers, you can also place them in certain areas where the snipers would want to go and get your mortar. So the snipers will get pushed away from wherever. Yeah.
And that's a lovely little synergy there. They also help protect the dog mines when they want to come up and get into position. So it works well. I like that. So the dog mines get some protection from the fact these vets are out there in front of them. So that's good. Right, you've then got 2 heavy autocannons. I like these. They are inferior to the German one in that they are not on a rotating board, which is slightly annoying.
And has not got gun shield. Yeah,
that's risky, because again, I guess in a meta where there are no LMGs other than on vehicles, they're safer. But nevertheless, that's a little bit of a risk.
For me, there is also a potential problem that, and again, a good player, Carlos, will know how to do this. But for many of you others, don't just copy this list, because what you'll end up doing is you'll place your forward deployers in front of your guns. So you need to be able to know where you want the guns to shoot. So that takes a lot of reading the battlefield and not placing them right in front of where you're. I mean, you want line of sight to that enemy steward, right? But you don't 100%. Want your scouts to sit there and just block your shots. Yeah,
it's a good point. Then the Stuarts. So we've got 2 Stuarts. Again, they're different. So we've got one that's full Dakar, also with Recce. And then the other one is 13 shots. So again, if you play this, make sure you know which is which. Because that's
needs to again to be clearly marked.
Yeah. Then they got the horrible mule. But overall, I've put there watch for 2 different Stuarts, because you need to know which is which. I actually think this is a really good list. Now I've given it a 4, and I'm thinking it's probably a 4.5 now I've read it and looked at the synergies.
I would not give it a 4.5 simply because I don't like that one of the Stuarts is not a darker version Stuart.
Yeah,
I think you should have found the points for that. It's not that many points. I mean, you could debate Recce or not. I think I would even take off Recce from one and give the other one the darker version.
Yeah, lose Recce, lose the mule, lose one rifle.
Yeah, and then you're there.
You've got another Dakar one. Yeah. No, I agree with you. That's a good point. But the player clearly has made that decision that for them it's worth it for whatever reason. And that's the second time the Spanish have done that. So clearly they've spotted something that they think is
or they're making a mistake.
Yeah, maybe they're making a mistake, but at least they're trying something different, I guess.
They are, which is nice.
So I like that list. So we're going to go to the last one, which is the Dead Pony Club, which is the Polish.
The names, Russell, the names.
No, that's the name of a beer, I think. So I've stolen it. Right. Again, this looks. You know what I'm going to do? Have a look at this. So I promise viewers, I'm going to make the screen a bit bigger in a minute. I'm going to show you something. I think it's interesting. Right, let me zoom in. So, oops, at that. Apologies for my terrible skills on this. Right, okay, now what I'm showing you here is on the left, we have the regular everyday horses from Denmark.
Yep.
On the right, we've got the Dead Pony Club. Now, have a look how similar they are.
Yep.
Double TKS, double Vickers,
yep.
At least one horse from Limba,
yep.
at least 4 cavalry units.
Yep.
And so the difference is one of them's got marksmen, one of them's got medium mortars.
But they still got double the same indirect fire here.
Yeah, so, but as you can see, very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar. You couldn't get a fag paper between them. However, the one thing I do not like about the Spanish one, why I've called it Dead Pony Club, is those units are too small. They're all 6-man units.
Yeah.
So I just think that means you're going to end up with a lot of dead horses. Like how many
of
those
going into those charges, if the enemy goes on ambush and shoots at you in point blank range, you're going to lose 2 to 3 guys, and then potentially you'll lose the close combat, and then that's it.
Yeah. The other thing on the infantry, also the other thing they have done though that is good. Let me go back to comparison. They have put both their officers and horses.
Yeah.
I think it is a serious error by the Danes not doing that.
Yeah.
Because you give them recce straight away. Your officer's sniper proof, and you can also get to where he needs to be. You can grab objectives. It's just for 5 points you suddenly make your officer really useful. So that I really like, and I think that's a missed trick for Danes there. Anyway, back to Spain. The other thing as well on the infantry, Black Brigade. They got a unit. Now I know what the Black Brigade is. It was a Polish motorized or mechanized infantry. I have gone through all of the books. I cannot find the any special rules for this. All I can find is it's a normal, regular Polish infantry unit.
I think that's what it is. I think it's just 8-man, because they're 10-man. They're 10 points per man, which is what you normally buy regulars for. I think they're just regulars, no special rules.
So they've called it the Black Brigade, but I don't know. I get it. It's quite a famous unit, so maybe you want to theme. And if they're themed like that with leather jackets and stuff, that's great. They're called Black Brigade, apparently, according to one of the books, because the officers wore black leather jackets.
Okay.
So probably had sunglasses as well, I imagine. But,
being cool. On the battlefield.
Really cool.
Yeah. Gives you a +1 armor.
Yeah, but so this list here, I kind of like it. Those units are too small. Medium mortar, no sniper. They're vulnerable, really vulnerable.
They've got a Bofors
because you want the anti-tank.
Yeah.
Because
double TKS, double Vickers. That is standard.
It's a good list, but
it is.
I would maybe drop the AT rifle, bolster a couple of these, but we will see. So if this list if Denmark in your draw, which one of these two? So they're both 16 dice. If it's Poland versus Poland, which one of those lists wins?
The Danish one.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
The Danish one.
My money would go on the Danish one. I agree.
The Danish one would win at least 2 of the charges with having 9 lances. The marksman would be dangerous to the medium mortars, and the light arty could start firing indirectly on the Bofors. TKS versus Vickers, that would be a standoff. So I think the Danish one would win if these 2 lists went head to head.
Yep, completely agree.
Yeah,
but that's where I am on this.
Yep.
Okay.
So.
Jolly good.
That was the end of it. Now, I've asked all of the other people coming onto my channel about this question, and I'm going to ask you as well. Denmark versus Spain 1. Who do you think would win?
Right. Well, you guys are probably seeded 1 and 2 for the tournament. So you've got the WTC champions against the World Open War champions.
Yep.
You will play each other at some point. You know that.
Yeah. We've always played each other.
Yeah. I think the random draw system means it is going to completely depend on who's getting what. So that 6 lance, so the 6-man lancer unit, for example, if that plays against your Gurkhas, it will lose.
Yeah.
But it will beat the Soviet list. It will beat others. So there's a real mix on balance. So I'm kind of caveating my answer with that.
Yeah.
On balance, let's have a look. We can add it up, can't we? Let's have a look. I think I marginally prefer the Spanish list, but let's score them. So if I look at Spain, we've got 4, 8.5, 9, 12, 15. Well, maybe not. So I reckon their 5 lists are worth 20 points in terms of the rating. So let's see what I got for the Danes. 20. That's okay. That's an average of 4. Yeah. Right, for Denmark, start with your guys. 5, 8.5, 12.5, 15.5, 19.5.
19.5.
So I very marginally prefer the Spanish list, but it's very, very tight. As I say, it will come down to the matchups, and given the players involved, I think the most likely result is going to be something like 1 win, 1 loss, and 2 draws. Depends on the mission as well. So
that was what we got last time. Anyway, so we've lost 1 matchup against the Spanish in all the matchups we've had. We've won 2 and we had 1 draw. So it is always extremely close when we play the Spanish. And I agree. I think the Spanish, their lists may be a little bit better on average.
But it's marginal, but it's possibly there. Yeah. Just a quick final one. Do you want a quick 5 minutes on the meta of the tournament? Who's doing what? My all list summary. Right. Okay. So I've put every single list out there and ranked them, and I've added up. So you've got 120 inexperienced officers, 29 regular officers, but
that's the German officers and Japanese.
Yeah. But that also includes, because I've grouped them. That includes what we got there. The 4 artillery officers. So I've grouped them. Did I do another summary? I think I've got all list summary. This is what you've got going. 17 British. It's only the Swedes that didn't take Brits. God knows why. God knows why. Why would you do that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, Soviets are very well represented as well. Then it's USA, and then Japan's made a huge comeback. I think the reason for that is because of random matchups.
The Japanese might be able to dodge the Gurkhas.
If you have 6 games and they're being matched, and you take Japanese and it's a match tournament, you will have 3 games against Gurkhas, because it's a no-brainer. The captain will immediately give you the Gurkhas. But with the random draw, on average you'll get 1.5. So call it 2 games. So that just gives them a bit of protection.
It does.
And then we've got a nice mix. Actually, we've got 10 German lists, 8 Italian. So Italians are appearing because of the new rules. 3 Lancer lists, 2 Chinese, 2 French, 2 Romanian, Partisan, Hungary, Australia. So it's quite, for a tournament at this level,
it started to spread out a bit.
Good. Yeah, I'm quite pleased to see that. Obviously, kind of Brit, Soviet, USA. That no surprise that they're the 3 most popular.
No.
The US has made a little bit of a comeback as well recently.
They have, They've been winning tournaments here in Denmark as well, American lists. So I think that there's something there. I think skirmishing Americans that has a mixed bag and a lot of ranged firepower, they're really making a comeback. I don't know what has shifted in the meta, but something has.
But things move around all the time, which is great. The key thing you need your list to do, and maybe come back on screen, maybe Americans can do this, is you need, I basically think you need to build your list to beat the meta Gurkha list. And if you think you can beat that meta Gurkha list, then you're in the right place. And the number of Gurkha lists is incredible. So I'll just show you this quickly because it is quite fun. If I go to Britain, I've grouped them all together. And you can literally start here. So look, someone's bringing Maori. At least that's different.
That's different. Yeah.
Maoris. Yeah, they do different things. That's great. But then look, Gurkha.
Not Gurkha. We got one
Gurkha,
there.
SRS and Canadians. That's a weird list. That is from Spain too.
Yeah, that's a
Gurkhas,
weird one.
Gurkhas. Well, yeah,
Gurkhas.
I got away through. Sorry. So you have got 19 Gurkha units and 21 Gurkha para units, and 14 Canadian engineers. That is across 17 lists. So you can see what's happening there. This is just British. 0 LMGs and MMGs. We knew that would happen. Only 4 snipers for the Brits.
Don't bring a sniper for Brits. I never do.
Apparently people don't like them. I quite like them, but there you go. MLRS systems. There are 18 land mattresses across 17 lists. Super popular now that they've been allowed. Normally they're not allowed, so maybe excitement there. But yeah, and what I did, I took every single list. You might like this, Bo. And I created, so this list here. Oops, it might help if I stay on the right sheet. Sorry. Right, what I'm doing, this list here, let me zoom in so we can see it better. This is basically what every single British list looks like if you take what they've got on average. So this is, for me, is like the meta list.
That is the meta list. I love that.
And this
double
is
lieutenants, forward artillery observer, 2 Paras with 7 men, 3 SMGs, a single Gurkha unit with 7 men, Canadian engineers, 5 men flamethrower, medium mortar, land mattress, airborne recce, double motorcycle, Steward, Bren, and Mule. That is the meta.
So, and that, funny enough, is purely based on taking what were the average choices for the Brits, and that's what you get. And that list for me, which is not focused, it's a 5. Yeah. So there you go. Now we know.
So if anyone wants to go and do some net listing, just taking down a list from the net, that's the one to take.
That's the list. That is the net list.
You may not win games, but you'll definitely not make any friends.
No. And to be fair, the reason I'm showing it, the reason I've built it, is not to encourage people to play it.
No.
I played a similar. I don't use flamethrowers, but I don't use a land mattress. But other than that, my lists look like that with Brits. This is what you've got to beat. So go off and work out, how do you beat that list? And if you feel like you've got a list that can do that, you are in the right place. So I want everyone out there this year to target that list and to kill it.
To see if you can take it down.
Yeah. Let's see if we can make it disappear from the meta.
That would be incredible. That would be incredible. I think a part of the key to doing that is mobile autocannons. Yeah. But we shall see. Right. Russell, thank you so much.
There you go. Two heavy autocannons.
That is it. Bring double Colians, and then you're golden. Apparently,
Germans for the win. I'm going to try and win tournaments with Germans. I managed to win one last year, so
brilliant.
See, we did that. Anyway, thank you, Bo.
Right, that was it. Thank you so much for coming on, and I will see everyone in the next video.
Pleasure. Thanks, Bo.
Cheers.